Hello and welcome back to DriveDriverDriven. My name is Humble, and we're almost wrapping up the GBS build. I've actually gotten quite a bit done. Most of it's just superficial, wrapping up wiring, finishing little odds and ends, and there's not a whole lot left. What you just saw there was pretty much the maiden voyage, just coming up the driveway. Feeling the car out, getting another heat cycle on the engine, so bring all the fluids up to temp and then let them cool off again. So far so good. She's running pig rich, but we'll have a dyno day in the future to get all that sorted out. But let me show you where we're at. So you can see I've got the nose cone on, and I got the turn signals mounted. That's a pretty easy job. It's just a couple bolts, one on either side and then one underneath. And then I did my best to get these as even as I could on either side, just by measuring from the distance down here and then measure the distance back from this, and then even that out on both sides. Nothing really much has changed up here. I can't remember if I pointed out before, but we finished up all the windshield. So we got the windshield seal here all trimmed up and nice. We've routed our defrost wires down under the dash. The dash itself is now in place. Our nice cover, steering wheel, everything is done. All the aluminum panel here for the tunnel, as well as the little switch plate there. I really like the way that the shifter came out through the tunnel here. It's just perfect in those holes. The way the e-brake boot comes in here, I had to sort of widen this hole a little bit because there's a switch on the side for a brake light in the dash. But I trimmed it up as best I could with some edge trim. Just like this stuff here. Doesn't look half terrible. I got this trim here along the cowl. I tried to get another bit to sort of hide this gap in here, and I couldn't get anything to really work with the fiberglass. It was for a couple of reasons. The fiberglass itself has a thick edge, but wherever the fasteners are to hold this in place, it's even thicker, and the edge trim didn't want to stay in place over those fasteners. So we had to sort of go without it. Not too broken up about it. I kind of like the panda look of the dash. Maybe sometime in the future, I will either paint or wrap the center console white to kind of stick with the black and white theme. And like I mentioned before, I still want to ceramic coat the exhaust black again to keep with a black and white theme. But otherwise, we're basically done. I still have to cut out the exhaust hole for the hood. I still have to put the windshield wipers on, but that's nothing doing. The only gotcha is, if you look, these arms are too long. And so once they're on, you have to trim the end and, trim it down here so that the wiper blades can fit in the window itself. I still have to mount the seats, but, and we still have to move our license plate light and mount our diffuser, but that's kind of a minor job. And again, the diffuser you just sort of put up in place, and you'll put some rib nuts here in the corner to line up with a spot down here. But otherwise, the Zero is almost done, like so close to being done. So with that, let me get on to the seats and show you sort of what we did for the seat brackets in the Zero. I mentioned it before, and we're finally getting to it. All right, so here we are with the This is just the driver's seat upside down. And I have to credit Sean with the creation of these seat brackets. But we worked together to sort of find the perfect angle. Mainly because if you put the seat bottom level with the floor of the car, it creates, well, pretty much creates a hot spot on your posterior. So you sit more with your rear in the back of the seat, and you don't get any support up in this area under your legs. And so what we were trying to do was figure out how much angle was best for this, to cant the seat back a little bit so that the forward edge of the seat would support your thighs and up under your knees, but not be uncomfortable as to like cut circulation or anything like that for like longer road trips or such. And GBS has these little spacers and bolts they include that you stack up, like these guys, and just a long bolt that you sink through it. And neither one of us was really comfortable with that mount method. And so Sean created these. It's whatever, basically half-inch flat stock, I believe, that was cut and trimmed to length. And then we welded a set of these together in his garage. I haven't painted or anything yet. I still need to take this apart. This is why I haven't mounted the seat yet, is because these need to be pulled apart and painted to keep these guys from rusting, because this is an open top car. So I'm gonna put several coats of paint on these and primer, etc., just to keep them from rusting into the floor. But back onto the brackets and the angle, what we found was the sort of happy medium was an 8-degree angle from basically flat to taking the bottom of the seat back, so that the front of it was angled up at about 8 degrees. And what that does is it ends up sitting, you sit very low in the car. I was actually really surprised with that little test drive just now, how far down you do sit. It actually reminds me a lot of the Ultima. When the Ultima's on the ground in that car as well, you are just against the ground. So this is very similar in driving position. What's weird though, and it's going to take me a bit to get used to it, is how far back in the chassis you are. Again, like your back is back here, just in front of the rear wheels. But if you look at the Ultima, your back is almost the midpoint of the car. So just pulling the zero into the garage, you feel like the nose is just miles ahead of you. And I can't wait to really drive this car in anger to see what kind of sensations that brings, and how communicative the rear traction is right through your backside, because again, you're sitting just right on the back axle. So we're gonna probably fast forward a bit, but I need to get these brackets off of both seats and get these painted, and then we'll get these seats mounted in the car. All right, making a little progress here on the seats. Ignore the hood for a moment, we'll come back to that. But on the seats, you can see I've got the seat brackets pulled off, and our sliders are down here in the boot. And over here, it's a terrible paint job, but no one will see it. This is still curing. It was in the sun, it's not in the sun anymore, but our paint is curing on our seat brackets, and once that's done, those and the seats can go back in the car. While I was waiting for paint to dry and tired of watching it, I decided that I would start on the exhaust cutout for the hood. I had gone through and I took some careful measurements from basically where I've marked here on the body on either side, both vertically and then horizontally to measure where our high spots for each of the tubes are. And then I just grabbed a paper bag and I sort of made a template, something like this, that'll fit over the tubes. And then on the hood, I took our template, and the hood is upside down, but I just traced it out here on the hood, and I just got to cut this area out all the way over and on the return here. And then once this is done, I've got some nice edge trim that will go around this to sort of hide any rough cut edges or anything like that, make it look a little bit nicer, sort of like this stuff here. But I wanted to show you sort of the method to my madness before I started cutting, so you could see sort of how to do this on your own. Oh, also, as another thing I just remembered, got our wipers on. So the wiper arms, they're much too long. They come out to like here, and you have to trim most of the end of the arm off here in order to get the wiper blades to actually fit on the screen, and then when they swing across, they don't come up above the screen. So our wipers are done. Those are on the car. Probably not going to see much rain in this car. Most of the kind of wet weather that we see driving this is actually from mixed weather and microclimates going up through the mountains and stuff. So the wipers are mostly for show. This isn't really a wet weather car, but they are required for our inspections, so they have to be on the car. And they have to be functional, as in they have to wipe a certain percentage of the screen. So that job done, now we'll get onto the hood. Now isn't that a sight to see? So we got our hood all trimmed up. You can see this little bit of edge trim just around the opening that really helps finish it off. It's got the same kind of edge trim here on the front and back. The hood just locates on some pins that line up, and it's easy enough to measure the distance from that pin as a location point to where you need your opening to be. But I'd say that's a pretty good first stab at it. The hood fits fairly well. There's a little bit of a gap up here, which I might try to fix on the nose, but that might be a future me problem. It's close enough. I'm happy enough with it. Fit on this side is good. I'm not as happy with the helicopter tape that we put down to protect the cowl. You can see the dirt line where it's just collecting dirt. Again, I think that's going to be more of a future me problem. But otherwise, taking a step back, looks pretty good. I still got to do the seats, and we still got to do our front fenders, which that's kind of a mini project on its own, and we'll get to that in a second. But overall, we're almost at a car. I still have to do some kind of a string alignment to make it a bit more street friendly alignment wise, because just pushing the car around in the garage, you can see or feel rather the amount of scrub from like toe in or toe out, whichever way the wheels are pointing. But we're just about ready to wrap this up, and then we can start getting on to the street process, which is going to be getting a proper alignment done, getting a dyno tune done, getting our registration process and all our inspections done. And I didn't really go... I went through in one video that we did for the Ultima, but on the Zero, I kind of want to take each process and kind of break it out so that it's less intimidating for folks who want to build a kit car, or they're building their first kit car. Because once you do the steps the first time and you do it right, it just gets easier for the next time, and then you can help others with that same process. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but for now, we're going to get on these seats and see if we can't get these seat brackets on and then get the seats bolted into the car. Well, here we are. Got the seats in, belts are done, brackets done. I think we are pretty much done enough on the Zero. Still got to do the front fenders, still got to do the rear diffuser, but as you can see, we've got the car kind of moved out under the gazebo here to make some room in the garage for something I'll show you next time. So with that, I'll leave you guys hanging. I think you know what's coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.